That is Baptiste, and this is the second episode of this session of Poker Time. It's our 5-10 cash game, and we know everyone's chilling out at home, probably, as you're watching this.
Yeah.
We're recording this as the coronavirus is starting to take everyone out in terms of quarantine and things like that. So
as a result, this is a Poker Time classic.
Yeah.
Filmed in 2018, was dusted off from the vault.
Yep, we've never shown you guys this. This is just sitting around, but we're lucky to have it now.
We got some throwbacks. We got Snuggie, who hasn't played on Poker Time basically since this.
Yeah.
And Baptiste, who has since moved away from Portland, so he came back and played one session, but you don't get to see too much Baptiste content anymore. So this is a treat for you, and you should thank us with money.
400 pre-flop. You see bet the flop and showed me ace king, and I.
Baptiste had the best hand for about a quarter of a second. But
He had that hand for a lot longer than a quarter of a second. I don't know what you're talking about.
I said he was the best man
Oh.
for about a quarter of a second. And then
the groom found out about the thing he did in
and they're like,
1996.
you're out.
Yeah.
I'm going with Ronald McDonald. That's his friend named Ronald.
That's an unfortunate name.
Works for the McDonald's Corporation because his parents own it. The McDonald's Corporation.
I'm just going to let that
Is that
one.
what's wrong? Anyway, yeah, so the humor also circa 2018 or so. No problem. There's Ken, of course, scooping that pot with a queen.
You have an ace again?
I'm going to need you to sing, I think.
Really?
Yeah, 2018 Jonathan would have sang.
Yeah, it's true. Well, how about this one? Here's an old classic. The digital one is a digital man. Digital Dan. Digital Dan.
There you go.
That was the digital dance song.
Yeah.
And people used to ask us to sing that. We never would. But there it is.
Did I make that up or did you make that up?
You made that up. That was you.
Didn't remember that.
Digital Dan.
Raise. 40.
Just sitting there.
Sure is. There's Snuggie.
Calling with the king 9 off.
It's about ready to arrest some cocaine lords in Miami.
That's right. Well, some cool 80s music beat is going on in the background.
Oh, well, they can mute the
Call
re-
40.
the recall.
4 players.
Baptiste, by the way, calling with the 8-7 off. He's mitigated a little by being on the button, but also, you know. Top pair for wheel. Nothing else.
The Wheelmeister.
And wheel is going to lead at this. Don't hate it. 4 ways this kind of board is often going to get checked through.
I don't love it. It's not my preference on how to play the hand.
Well, he bet
130.
pretty big, too.
There's not going to be too many weaker jacks in his opponent's ranges, so
Yeah.
all it does is protect against weird overs coming in because I don't think hearts are folding anyway. I'm not a huge fan.
Hold.
Well, I'll say this. It's not a play I make very often, but I'm wondering if I should be making that play more often. You know, like when you're that multi-way where it's often going to check through and just problematic. You know what I mean? Like to deny equity and get value.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was almost like, I mean,
He's not getting value with that bet, though.
You can get some value. You can get value with hearts against hearts. You can get value against worse pocket pairs that decide to call.
I don't know if worse pocket pairs are going to decide to call too frequently.
I think it depends on where they're sitting. If they're on the button, like if Baptiste flatted with 2 9s or something like that, he's going to call.
And by saving you from Ken, I actually...
It's not. It's mostly about denying the equity, for sure.
You did.
And when I say deny equity, I just mean like, you know, cards that are going to come that are
Like king,
gonna
queen.
beat you.
Try to fold out king, queen.
Yeah.
Raise. 40.
All right, Austin still looking super intense.
Fold. 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 Peter folded. And
Well, last time I was here, Randy
Fold.
did
Fold.
more.
Digital Dan, still just sitting there.
Straddle or blind raise.
When I see Snuggie, I keep thinking of like an 80s undercover cop in Miami who, like, instead of due process, just shoots a guy for having cocaine on the beach, and then he gets in his convertible and like throws a coffee cup on the ground and he drives away and lights a cigarette.
1 player per hand, but
Yeah, Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
70 bucks.
totally.
Did they do that type of stuff in Miami Vice?
Absolutely.
They threw they littered a lot.
There was a lot of littering. Come on, they were way too cool to not litter.
Yeah.
No one was reduce, and recycling, you know. It's a lot of
see what
pastel colors and
Yeah, that's true. That's what
cocaine.
anything that could cause somebody pain, Baps is down for.
Actually, that's the.
Just got my own.
I hope
pain.
it comes up.
It's the one that started yesterday.
Really?
Yeah,
Fold.
because you came in late. Remember, you
Yeah.
came in for Jackie.
Yeah.
So the
Fold.
Jackie's episode was.
So I'm not
Raise.
on it.
You're not. You'll be on
Spoiler
it
alert.
Next week.
He's going to open the hijack with a very reasonable hand because he really has the button. Still would be reasonable in the hijack.
I think everyone just knows.
Austin,
Gonna
not
defend.
interested in folding the Jack 3 as Digital Dan did last hand.
Well, he does have 34% equity, so that's good.
That is a good amount of equity for Jack 3.
It is.
I think the episode break was.
And, you know, he flops,
Heads up. Jack.
well, a runner straight, I guess.
Or Jack, or 3.
Yep.
Check.
He checks back with overs and the gutter.
He's doing a board-based check.
Sure.
That is more in Austin's range than Batiste's. Slightly. I mean, Batiste was
Not
on
the king.
on the button, the flop, I mean.
Oh, yeah, the flop for sure.
Bet.
And this is a
60,
board-based bet.
Yep. I like it. Batiste can potentially run into some problems when you do that board-based check on that board specifically, where when you improve, it's hard to make any money unless
Yeah.
Austin decides to get bluffy. But Austin might decide to get bluffy if there's 4 to a straight out there.
Big blind.
You know, if the 9 comes in and Batiste has the top end of it.
Big blind.
I could see it.
Austin, I don't know if Austin's going to get bluffy, but he's going to get super intense about everything.
You're overstating that.
Just wait till we come back on him. You tell me. Snuggie and Austin are like the opposites. They're like sliding doors.
My fault.
I'd like to
One
say
dude.
I appreciate that
Raise.
Snuggie wore an
40.
undershirt. I'm glad.
Call. Fold, fold.
But he's getting a little loosey-goosey,
Fold.
eating a sandwich, which was not a reference at the time of the filming of this.
Confusing.
That's probably true.
Fold. Fold. Heads up.
Locked and loaded.
Gut shot for Batiste, top pair for Snuggie.
Backdoor flush draw for Baptiste and position.
Bet 60.
I don't expect him to fold immediately.
He could even raise.
Yep.
Call 60.
Call is pretty reasonable, especially in position.
Not too crazy.
Pretty terrible card for Batiste.
Yep. This is definitely the kind of board Snuggie would want to continue on. I like that he is betting here.
Bet 105.
Yeah, 10.
He seemed to go through all options in his head before he made that fold.
You have it?
Roughly. Roughly November.
Roughly November.
Snuggie shows it.
My birthday's the 1st, so I'm kind of hoping for
That was good enough,
something
wasn't
like
it?
that.
You're first. They usually come early on or they usually come on
Really
time on
good
first.
time. Right.
Cool, man.
Yeah, we're excited. Oh,
Congrats.
oh yeah, thanks.
Their first.
First one. Yep.
Yeah, they're buying a new puppy and they've been married forever. They've never had a puppy. It's kind of weird.
We've had a puppy for a long time. Haven't been married that long, and we already got a baby coming. Actually.
A little backwards.
See, when he smiles, he doesn't look so intense.
Bastards just won't die. 13 years.
Puppies or kids?
Yeah, wait. Hold on. What are we talking about here?
Raise.
They can solve
Blake getting loose as he is wont to do.
Or Michael Vick.
Looks like Batiste is gearing up for a 3-bet.
It's a very small 3-bet.
It's almost
It's a
as small
min.
as it could be. Oh, it's
Oh, no,
100. I
it's
thought it
not.
was 75.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Still small.
Still really small, yeah.
And it's going to bring Wheel in with the King Queen of
Batiste is
Diamonds.
not like that.
He was trying to isolate Blake.
I really like this as Wheel making this call because Blake is going to be wider than
Ooh,
most.
well, Snuggie might just put an end to everything.
I think he will. I've seen Snuggie just go all in these spots.
Yeah, I think a reasonable size is something like 400.
Yep.
Oh,
But he's doing that
You were
all-in
correct. He just
play.
went the all. He went with the
Yeah.
all in. Well, let's see how gambly Blake's feeling.
That would be pretty gambly. I don't think anyone's going to feel gambly enough here.
Well, Batiste's plan certainly went up in flames.
Yeah.
Proving a point or something?
He's pretending like maybe he's interested.
Maybe he wants to gamble.
He does not.
He's not going. It's fine.
Feel free to fold out a turn then. He got Baptiste's permission.
Sorry, Jay.
I mean, what's happening here? Why are we taking time with this hand?
It's
He's never calling 1300 with 7 high.
that was
and
very
he knows
strange.
that.
That was strange.
That was just. Wheel just got a little bit older. That's all that happened in that last 30 seconds.
Want to, but
Apparently, Wheel's going to pretend he might call now.
It'd be quite a deal for Snuggie if he did.
Yep. We've seen Wheel really not make these calls ever.
Correct.
you got jacks.
It is a
We're
pretty
heads
hand.
up, right?
Yeah.
So you
I
can
got
show me
I
one.
got 2 cards.
Show me one.
Just show me one of yours.
Okay.
That's the best you can do?
Show me one.
Huh?
You have to show me one. It's cowboy rules or whatever you call it.
Cowboy rules.
Wild West. Yeah. Come on.
Okay, I'll let you pick the one.
All right, I want that one with your little finger
This
on
one?
it. No, the other
This
one.
one?
Yeah.
It's a king.
I like that play by Snuggie. I'll let you pick the one.
Shit.
Apparently it is cowboy rules.
So both players are showing a king, right?
I couldn't tell what Wheel showed.
Well, you have an ace that goes with that?
Well, show me your other one.
I fold.
That hand took about 6 minutes longer than it needed to.
Yeah, I guess Wheel was maybe thinking that if he was up against jacks, he could make this call. Snuggie does do that shove more often than he should,
I mean, good thing you picked
but it's just too much.
What do you have?
That hand was a great example of why we since then implemented a 30-second shot clock.
That is correct.
There's one right by you, actually.
That is one thing as we do our classics, although it's not really a classic, it's just vintage.
Vintage
Poker
Poker Time 2018.
bad.
Yeah,
Yes.
there'll be things like longer tanks.
No, I was just
how it
I
is.
just wanted to heads up with you.
What'd you
That's
have?
not heads up. That's like
you have ace?
spinning the wheel again. You can play a pot.
I like to spin the wheel.
We know. We know.
It was suited too. Good,
Raise.
good hand.
35.
Great, thanks, Snuggie. Now you pissed Baptiste
Call
off.
35.
No, I'm not fit.
So what I've observed about Peter so far is that he's a little loose.
Can't win a hand.
If you watched the last episode, you will have seen him make some loose calls as well.
Yes. And if you haven't watched the last episode, Grant's here to do the cliff notes for you, apparently.
There were
There's no reason to watch.
poker plays.
No?
There were some
Oh, I thought you were
good
raising.
jokes by us about how long ago 2018 was.
No,
Those were fun.
Those were fun. So Snuggie called out of the small blind with the queen deuce of diamonds, and he flops pretty well with that hand.
He's got to be very happy with that flop.
That's one of the better case scenarios.
Looks like Peter might protect his 5 here. Nope.
Nope.
Just gonna
Just
check it.
pretending. Somehow is the best hand. Not anymore.
Snuggie with a lock on it.
good time over there.
Absolutely should start betting now. I don't know if he's going to get any action.
75.
Don't imagine he will.
Fold.
Peter really just call with 5. Nope.
Fold.
Fucking non-believers.
Brian should get that electric ice water.
Tennis racket.
Snuggie's a shower. He likes to show
Yeah.
up.
Thank you.
Sorry,
I knew I had a red queen. I couldn't remember if it was a
Chewing
diamond.
on my nose.
No, it wasn't. You didn't have the queen of diamonds.
I know. I know that
Just
now.
flush on the turn.
Just on the turn, just bink it on the turn. I thought for sure you guys thought I was just trying to pick that up.
You can see Snuggie has been the most aggressive pre-flop. Peter, while playing a fair amount of hands, has not been raising any hands.
Yeah, it's been about, almost an hour of play now.
Over an hour.
No, a little under, actually, about 55 minutes. But still, he's yet to raise a single hand
I didn't know we were
pre-flop,
playing
which is
high-low.
unusual,
Yeah.
I'm going to say. I don't know if he's had really any monsters, though.
No, it doesn't seem like he has.
Opened up for 40
But
with
still,
a
as we
low
see, he's the only player who hasn't.
Raise.
We did see him limp
30.
once, at
This
least
is
once.
a bit of an unusual and loose play from Wheelie. We don't see him do this too often.
Not anymore. Digital Dan's got a pretty hand, and I think he should raise it. Looks like he agrees.
Interesting.
Looks like he's going big. Whoa.
You know,
Oh,
I-
Wheel had
Dan
raised
just
pre.
does
Yeah.
I misunderstood. I thought Wheel limped.
Yeah, I was like, how did you think he was going to raise
I
10-9
didn't.
suited?
I really
It's
thought
all
Wheel
camping
limped, and
over
Dan
there.
was made it shockingly big.
Even
Instead.
though I just did a whole thing about Wheel raising with ace-3. You just don't listen to me.
No, I don't listen to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? I have other things going on in my head.
Anyway, Blake has a
More
weird
value.
decision now with ace-queen off. In this scenario, most of the time you can just fold
Yep.
pretty comfortably, with +1 and +2 being the action.
And
so
honestly, it being Wheel and Digital Dan, who are a little bit less whack, I think I like this fold, even though it turns out He puts in the 4-bet, he wins right away, probably, depending on the sizing anyway. Maybe Dan calls.
I don't think Wheel should continue with this hand.
No way. Not even close.
Gonna show the ace, which always means it has a king with it.
You can beat that with one.
Anytime anybody folds to you and shows an ace pre-flop, the other card is not good.
They're folding ace queen.
That is mostly true.
You didn't raise. No,
It's a
probably.
350.
And what exactly are they trying to say?
About what you made when you pushed.
When they do
Fergus
that.
Williams.
They're trying to say, look, I had reason to raise.
Yeah, but I wanted to call.
Yeah.
Look, I don't just have 7 deuce off here. That's what they're trying to show.
And is there value in saying
No,
that?
there's no value.
Well, I was going to raise, but then Dan.
The value, in theory, is saying, look, I'm not just, don't come after me so much. I had something. But what they're really saying is, I'm raising reasonable-ish hands, but I also will fold them,
Yeah.
which is going to encourage people to come after you, if anything, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay, that's why you're folding ace queen.
Dan gonna limp the king jack.
I will say Digital Dan does have his, especially back then, had a limping strategy, which included big pairs and ace king and stuff like that, too.
Austin appears to not care what he has.
That is true. And Baptiste with the real hand, finally it showed
Well,
up.
I mean.
I don't know if he's played with Austin much before, and Austin hasn't gone to showdown too much, so he might decide to call some of the time. If he knew the types of hands that Austin was playing, he would probably be more apt to 3-bet.
Yeah, I think I prefer a 3-bet from the small blind with callers already there and Digital Dan behind, because now we have to see. Basically, you're set mining here with 10s.
I mean, there's some good flops. You're going to get stuck to the pot with low boards.
For a little while.
I get that a
Five
lot.
player.
It's really hard to.
A king is,
win well.
well, that's not the flop for 10s that you want to see. 9-4 suited, though, does make a flush draw.
That is true. King Jack, Digital Dan's got bottom 2.
Bottom 2 on a very scary board.
Peter with bottom 1.
And
the
a
gutter.
gut shot. Don't forget about the gut shot.
Digital Dan's thinking it's just going to lead right into this. This
I
whole
wonder
field.
if the plan is bet fold.
85.
I mean, if Austin were to raise, and Austin's got a pretty, I guess he doesn't have queen 10 any more than anyone else does, maybe even less, but
He has the sets more.
yes, he does. He's got top 2 and he's got the sets.
He does decide just to call, though.
It's pretty reasonable within this crowded a field where queen 10 absolutely could be lurking.
Dan probably is putting Austin on ace 10 or ace queen or something like that right
Yeah.
now.
We want to pay the whole thing.
How big is it?
Could have queen queen.
Baptiste might be thinking that he blocks the nuts, so it might be a good time to raise. That might be too advanced of a thought process. Not really necessary to go through with.
Jake, can I buy some of those black chips for me that you have in your pocket? Can I buy
the ones
some?
in my
Do you have a
pocket?
card?
I mean, I think
Peter sadly folds.
You have what, 400?
Yeah.
Is it a
These guys are deep.
But yeah, we are.
Yeah, pretty deep.
We're looking to have it done.
King Jack still feeling good. Dan, with no real reason to think that he's behind.
Not right now. Now that the field's cleared out behind him, Austin could take an aggressive action if Dan bets again. It's much easier to do it now.
It's not a great story unless you. I mean, it's a board you would want to raise on with a set or with the nuts,
I'll find it.
honestly, in a multiplayer flop.
Agreed.
So it turns into a pretty bad story if he raises now. It might work anyway because it does look very strong still.
It does look
It would just
super
look like an
strong.
unusual line to take with a strong hand.
Yeah.
I just couldn't find that.
Oh, that's all right.
I mean, Austin could have ace jack. It really plays the same as ace king here also. So that could, in theory, increase his value range. But I agree with you. Usually on the flop, he's just going to raise it up right there and not let everyone come in. He's just going to let it go, which really didn't occur to me as one of the options.
No, that was a bit odd, but
He's getting a little better than 3 to 1.
Dan's bet.
Dan wins the pot. We're back to Dan with hockey sticks under the gun.
That's right. The walking sticks.
Fold.
The putters. Upside down putters,
Call 10.
as
Raise.
Tiger Woods
75.
like to call them.
Yes. Baptiste's gonna try to isolate somebody or just win it, but it's not gonna work because there was queens. It looked like
It sure looked like queens.
nobody folded queens.
We'll
There it
bet to
is.
$410.
That makes a lot more sense. Although that is a very large.
It seems way too big when most people are just in for $10.
Well, yeah, that's where we go. Okay.
Could have made it 250.
Yep. He could have made it 300. Until, where Baptiste may call a fair amount anyway, you can, because you're going to be out of position. But this just seems like a massive amount. Baptiste would have huge stack to pot issues right away if he were to call. So it's just got to let it go.
He was trying to tax your add-on.
These guys are all showers, not growers. Am I right?
Oh God.
What's the matter? Some coronavirus humor, maybe?
Oh yeah, that's what that is.
There was nothing.
I mean, humor for the coronavirus. For everyone sitting up, cooped up in your home. This is for you.
Start with an N.
Whoa.
It's disturbing.
Whoa.
Moose.
Oh, N. I said N.
Can we just have that talk?
We just did.
Thought we did.
Pretty loudly, actually.
Fold. Fold. Fold.
Actually, you overshot it.
Blake's going to raise the wheeled ace.
Yes, that's what they call it.
Going to get a call from Baptiste with another one, and then Peter folds yet another one. It's all baby cards, except for those aces. But all wheel cards anyway, from the cutoff on down. It's kind of weird. 4 players in a row, all wheel cards, don't you think?
This is why I don't believe in coincidence.
Replay.
It wasn't personal.
They say live poker's rigged.
Totally. And
Not a surprise that
not
no
a
one hit
surprise at
anything.
all.
That's why I showed
There's
that.
one ace left.
Got him.
There's 2 5s left. There's 2 3s left.
Bet 70.
This is probably just going to take it down.
Fold. Fold.
Indeed it does.
Shows a card.
So when people say,
Yeah.
I don't believe in coincidence, they can't mean that literally, right? Because that means I don't believe that two things can happen simultaneously.
That are, or they don't have to be even necessarily
They don't have to be
simultaneous.
connected at all. That's just
Trying to help all of us.
No, I mean, things don't have to happen simultaneously
yeah.
to be a coincidence
right,
anyway.
right. True.
You didn't hit me though, so don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think they mean it literally when they say I don't believe in coincidence.
Yeah, I hope
Because
not.
they can't, right?
Right.
Because like, wow, we both showed up at the shop right at the same time. It's weird to ascribe that anything but coincidence, right?
I punched the wall in my house and a hammer fell off the wall in your house.
There's really no problem.
I don't believe in coincidence.
So I will say, people who say that they often use the example when John Adams died, where he says Jefferson lives.
Yeah.
And people say that as if that means that there isn't a coincidence, and yet Jefferson was already dead. He had already died earlier that day, and so to me, it's a clear example of there's nothing going on there.
Yeah.
Like, but I have friends who feel very strongly that that means the opposite, which makes no sense to me. I think we find the patterns we look for, Grant. Not to get too deep on you.
The patterns I'm seeing right now are Baptiste raising with 2 9s,
Rock on it.
getting 2 callers,
They just dig right under
and
it.
flopping very well.
Yeah, very, very well. The big blind's the only guy who has a reasonable deuce here. Digital Dan, of course, could have ace deuce, but that's about it.
Baptiste checks it back. That is unorthodox.
Very unorthodox, and gets a card that beats him.
Yep.
Well, this isn't a
He
high.
almost
This
certainly
is
wins,
yellow
and now he's
jack.
going to lose, but he's making a board-based check.
You believe in coincidence now, Baptiste?
And Austin is going to be the one to take a shot here. That's interesting.
Bet
Yeah.
55.
So would you use
Baptiste
that wasp and hornet?
has a
spray?
look of
Be
regret as he
trading
puts the
different-
money in.
Like what? Ant spray?
No.
Wouldn't this be something if Austin gets
starting flow
Digital
don't
Dan to fold an ace right now?
Contact.
Oh, huh.
That would be something.
I can't get.
It,
I don't
do-
know if I can get
it
that
does look like
close.
Baptiste has a lot of aces. Austin
Yeah.
could have anything,
I mean, I'm
but
not
Digital
lighting it on
Dan gets
fire
a good
because
price.
that's
Dan's
Just
my-
close
right,
the action.
right in the middle of Baptiste's potential aces.
Okay.
You don't need to
Yep.
ignite it.
I found out by accident running equipment.
And
then flying around,
guaranteed
I mean,
not
I
to
have a
chop
can
with
of heater
them
next to me, they
unless
just
it's ace 8.
That is true. Will Austin
Yeah, it
fire
comes in a
again?
spray.
Yeah.
Looks like he is strongly contemplating it.
Brake
He
clean
could have a
works, too.
4. He could have a deuce.
He does check though, and
Check. Showdown.
Digital Dan is going to get to win this one.
Ace.
Look at
That's the Baptiste face we're
Yeah.
looking for.
Baptiste is so upset as if anyone did that except him when he checked the flop. I mean, it's okay to have that as a strategy, but then you're not really. I don't think you're allowed to get upset about it.
You're allowed to
When-
do whatever you want, man.
Nah, you're not. Look at him. He's staring daggers at Dan.
Yeah, because Dan is.
How dare you?
No, you know why? Because Dan is like so mean to everybody all the time.
Do you think he's upset because maybe Dan overcalled? He's like, how can you overcall with that hand on the turn for 55?
My plan worked perfectly to get Austin bluffing.
So sick.
Puts him out for a while.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, really, Baptiste could have tried to even bluff the river there. Could have put in a big bet on the river. Probably going to work.
Hungry these
I'm not saying he should. I'm just
No,
saying.
it's
like-
probably not worth it.
I was at an outdoor taco restaurant the other day, and a yellow jacket came and landed on the lip of my beer, and then just like dove in.
Call.
45.
So I had
It's
to
a
get
good way to go.
Raise.
So I had to get a
45.
spoon. And
So you would think Baptiste was tilting based on the way he just did that in the last hand, but he has a totally reasonable hand to raise
Well,
here.
it's possible he is tilting, and he just happens to have a reasonable hand.
Well said. Well said.
I don't believe in coincidence, Jonathan.
That's right.
I was sitting down.
But that wasp and hornet spray is a
Baptiste
white-
lives.
I watched the Yellow Jackets.
Ken's
covered
got
with
Baptiste
white
clubs
foam
in
fly off and
the Supermax prison.
fine.
200.
Raise.
Oh, and Ken's going to put in the squeeze play here.
This is pretty cool.
Think it's going to work. I don't know, but if Baptiste is really tilting, he's not going to fold. And Baptiste looks like he is not going to fold.
Call 200.
So I would guess that Baptiste is tilting. We don't know what Austin has. That's always fun. When we never will. We can eliminate some cards, but we can't know what he has, Grant.
Heads up.
Well,
Ken is in pretty good shape here.
yeah. There's a club and a 10. Bad news for Ken.
Yep. And he does check.
Somehow, some way, Ken finds a check.
Check.
And Baptiste checks it back. This is similar to the last hand.
See a club. That's not a club.
Flop lag.
Looks like Ken is not interested in putting any more money in this pot.
Stand up like a
You might think ace high is good enough.
Well, we're going to find out right now because Baptiste is betting. There it is.
Bet 160.
That was perfect.
Ken sometimes can be sticky with aces, but nope.
He does not think ace high is good enough.
Got one through.
Not hit that flop.
Well, it's actually a nice little pot Baptiste ends up picking up there. That time.
Worked out.
It did work out. That time.
But now we don't get to see the Baptiste face.
There'll be more opportunities
I
as
hope
this
so.
this episode or future episodes. There's going to be
Get in there.
2 more episodes after this coming over the next 2 weeks.
Two-ish.
2-ish, fine. Where this session will continue for it. And we'll have many opportunities to see Baptiste get upset about things that are either just always going to happen or were completely within his control to not happen.
Love it. Best stuff.
Call.
Peter just wants to play hands, it looks like, and he hasn't been picking up any cards, and
And he's
I,
not
I
raising
suppose
either.
that's not going to stop him.
But if he's going to play a hand, he probably should raise it rather than limp it.
Yep.
Especially a guy who hasn't raised at all. Like, they're going to give him credit.
Yeah.
And instead, he puts a target on his back, and Austin just says, it's hunting time.
With that super intense face.
Sometimes he's intense. Did you see when he was smiling and laughing, he suddenly looked like a newborn babe. A happy newborn babe. An infant.
Yep. Exactly like an infant.
Thank you for saying so.
Well,
Wow.
there's a jack and an 8 for Peter. I think
Nice.
maybe he's finally going to win one.
He's got a pretty good chance to win this one.
He's already checked, and we're going to look at him for a while, I think.
Oh,
And Austin checks back with
Yep.
middle pair. Good bet, but checking is fine.
The 8, I was just
Oh.
going to say an 8 would be devastating. We've hit devastation.
All right, so Peter's going to make up a lot of his value here.
he
that
should
he's-
be able to get it all. He should be able to get the full double. He only has 645.
He should be. I would not be surprised to see Austin raise here.
Yep. And if he doesn't, Austin's probably raising on non-diamond, non-jack rivers. So, and it is just a call. So
All right, I guess there are some cards that could make it so
Yeah.
Peter does not get the full double.
there's about 11 cards or so. 12 cards.
An ace,
that
of
look
course, would be one of them.
Heads up.
like- Oh well, yeah, that's true.
There's
That
a
is
queen.
that should 9-10 comes in, but that shouldn't be enough for Austin not to move him in.
I think maybe Austin's not going to raise now, though. It might be enough.
Let's see how he sizes it.
250, it looks like.
215 to 370. With only 295 left, I would just move him in. You're just going to get called a little bit lighter because he only has 295 back.
I guess you're trying to get called by Queen Jack or a weaker 8.
Yep.
9-10 is a problem, though.
It sure is.
And he does just call.
He saves money.
Yeah, that's when you got to show if you're Austin.
Why?
People can't help showing, is what I
Oh,
mean.
okay. Yeah.
It's tough not to show an unlucky situation. It took me a couple of years of live poker before I stopped showing in spots like that, you know?
Yeah, sure. I understand.
Yeah, set on top.
We've all been there.
You guys both had trips. You just flopped.
That's strange. Austin was paying money.
It's been almost 2 years since we filmed this. It's possible Austin no longer shows in these spots either.
Possible.
Never be too careful, right, Snugs?
Oh, and there it is.
9-10 gets there, saves me.
Little needle.
Little bit of a needle, although he did save $300.
Yeah.
But still a bit of a needle there from Baptiste.
Okay with that result. I had a hand like that a few weeks ago.
I was like, well, I didn't. After he just called the 100, I didn't know if he was going to call the
Raise.
250.
35.
Did you know he had ace 8 though? That helps.
Call 35.
No.
Yeah. Ace 8, you probably would have just shipped. If you knew he had ace 8.
I don't know why we even do analysis.
He threw the 100 out, he immediately grabbed his phone and started texting. You're not going to believe this shit.
Baptiste opens and gets called one spot back. Peter's now feeling his oats a little bit.
He's actually really
Got
nice.
the Queen 8 suited. And there's more spades. We know Snuggy's calling this. He called the Queen 3 of diamonds in the same spot.
It was Queen Deuce. Show some respect.
My bad.
No.
It's going to be hard for spades to come, but it's hard not to root for spades to come, Grant. I'll
Well,
tell you what.
No shit, buddy.
Boy, do I want some spades. Put me out there some spades, Grant, please.
Okay, I do have control of that. I'll reach back into the past.
There's still 7 spades. We just need 3 of them. At least give me 2. Ah,
You get nothing, and you'll like it.
yeah. Set for digital, Dan.
Which is very upsetting because,
No one else really has anything.
and also because why would you root for Dan?
What do you expect?
Can't even see him.
feel
Look,
like Dan
can't even
could-
see him.
Dan could use a little more color in his wardrobe.
How could you tell?
Win it with $35 and I got a good hand.
I mean, those are translucent boxes that are covering them up. They're not,
Those are called
opaque.
semi-translucent and semi-opaque. It's really a weird world we live in.
No, it's just translucent.
It wasn't like my typical.
Ken is calling with 2 10s.
All right.
It's a little optimistic with all these people behind
Yeah,
him.
it's maybe a bit of entitlement tilt.
He is, in quotes, right that no one has an ace.
Well,
But-
that doesn't count.
Nope.
It doesn't
Sure
count as being
doesn't.
right.
I know. That's
The
why
question
I
is,
said
are
in
you
quotes.
ahead or not?
I said in quotes. We know Ken is very sticky. See how Dan sizes this. 410 in there. I think a nice little tasty better, like 270, something like that. Ooh, it goes a little small.
225.
225.
Ken has no interest in continuing. He was hoping Dan was going to shut it down.
Good day to be Dan. So far.
Had one of those pocket pairs you hate. But it is-
Aces? Yeah.
Put it in
Pretty rough
smaller,
flop for
I
aces.
could have folded it on the flop.
Love that dual Ken vision. That was pretty sweet.
Double Ken. You've experienced one Ken. Now, in the year 2018, we bring you Double Ken. Featuring laser eyes.
What?
Laser eyes. He's got laser eyes. You can shoot lasers out of his eyes.
Sure. That made perfect sense narratively.
You don't worry about that. I'll keep the narrative strong.
Snuggy with an actual reasonable opening hand. Just limps it, though. And, you know,
Replay.
Thank God.
I think it is.
not a lot of excitement yet, but wait for this flop, Grant. Boom! Bam! Clubs for
it's a
Baptiste.
huge-
Monster flop,
Huge flop
actually.
for Baptiste.
But Blake has bottom pair, and that's it. Blake's going to lead with bottom pair. I guess it was a limped pot. Baptiste is going to...
Baptiste could really raise there
Yeah.
if he wants to.
Fold.
Calling's fine.
I think calling is totally fine.
Heads up.
But yes, raising not terrible either. It's the offsuit 5 and
6-7 does get there. But he's going to try to build a pot / maybe get a little value, and it looks like he's
Yep.
going to get a little value.
if Baptiste doesn't improve, that's probably the end of this pot growing, though.
Well,
Blake
Blake
improves.
improves.
Will Blake lead?
I think he will. I think he probably should.
I don't know, Baptiste could have missed clubs. But Jack 10's just going to check it back now.
Yep.
Of course, we have a 10 in our hand and a club in our hand, I guess. Blake is going to lead.
Bet.
I don't see how Baptiste can call when he has got 2 clubs in his hand.
It looks like Blake rivered 2 pair. It kind of looks exactly like what it is.
Or a weird straight.
Yeah.
But it's hard to come up with very many weird straights. Queen Jack of clubs that he didn't raise pre, I guess. And Baptiste is going to raise.
Ooh, he's turning his hand into a bluff.
Wow.
Call 420.
Oh, and it's just snap call
Blake
from Blake.
cannot call fast enough.
That's the stuff. That's the Baptiste face.
Look at the look. He looks at Blake as if Blake did something wrong, too. I love that. Like, what did you do? Look at, there it is. I love that. Like, we could write sonnets about what's going on in his mind as he's looking at him. There it is again. He's like, you are not a real human.
I even thought that you could repeat those 2 pair, huh?
I thought you had a club, bro.
I did.
Let's see.
I thought that I could be beat. But I was good.
Baptiste picked the wrong target that time.
I don't think he's having as much fun as he's trying to let on with the laughing.
Yeah, the laugh is not super convincing. Is it? Ha ha.
I miss having Baptiste on this show.
Me too.
Fold. Fold.
All right.
Call. Check. Heads up.
One thing I think, and I'm always reminded this whenever I watch Baptiste play, is it's good that they don't let players have like carry knives at the table, because I would really worry about Baptiste just stabbing somebody.
Well, he has flop top pair. I don't
Yeah.
think he's going to. Well, Peter has bottom pair, maybe.
Call once, but nope.
Fold.
Yeah, right.
What's that gonna do?
Look how unhappy Baptiste is to win that pot.
It's kind of
Just
worrying,
disgust.
Being, I think they'd rather be home.
a very dark joke there, but yes.
Yeah, too soon.
Is it too soon if it hasn't happened yet? It's like philosophical.
I just talked to a guy today, a business partner in Oahu, and it's gonna. They say it's gonna move south.
Yeah,
and
that's the
they're gonna get a
projected
bunch of
course.
rain and flooding, but
This
who knows for sure.
poker time is dating itself. I believe they're referring to a hurricane that brushed Hawaii in 2018.
It seems so so sweet and innocent now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's the things people were talking about and worried about on a worldwide basis.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they might get some flooding in Hawaii. Oh, that's terrible. I mean, obviously, no one wants
it's
flooding in
bad.
Hawaii, but you know,
Raise. 40s.
I think even Hawaiians would happily trade some flooding right now for
Is that a rule?
Sure.
all the coronavirus stuff. Boy, when people watch this like years from now,
They're going to be like, what the hell?
yeah.
Matter of
So I'm
personal
already
taste.
out of my comfort zone here. So.
Yeah, well,
Fold.
There we go.
way to defend the blinds.
It's only like 1,300. If you want to just get it in
All
now.
Salty Baptiste is the best Baptiste.
Yes, absolutely. By a lot. I'm hearing this is the last hand.
Okay, so that the board is incorrect. There was a 10 on that board.
Yeah, what the hell,
I
Esmeralda?
don't know. We're just gonna report it, and we say ignore the board. There's the 10 that comes in now. So it's 10, 3, 5, 9. I think
Yep.
there's 3 clubs on there.
Snuggie
too.
has a 9.
Yep.
He's ahead.
5.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah, Snuggie goes from 0 to hero with that 9. And there are 3 clubs on the board.
Ooh,
Ooh,
Baptiste makes a set on the river.
Well, well, well.
Check. Bet. 100.
Should get paid here.
Just in case. Do you want me to pay you off? Is that what you're going for? You got quiet, didn't you? You want me to pay you off? I mean, it's such a small bet.
It's a pretty normal bet, Snuggie.
Make it 200?
What do you think, Ken?
What do you think, Ken?
He's like his dial again.
What do you think, Ken?
This now looks like he's gonna kill somebody again.
Looks like Snuggie actually is going to fold this. Wow. That
How about
hurts.
that?
Oh,
He's gonna show
Baptiste.
he's gonna show 1-8, not 2, to try and
Yeah,
tilt
he's
him.
even.
I
oh,
thought
he didn't
about
get
it.
All right, we'll see you next week for a little bit more of this classic poker
Yeah,
time.
Baptiste may kill somebody.
Yes.